What is up, everybody? No intro for this one, because I want to keep this serious. I've heard a lot of people talk about how having DID is fun, and it's interesting, and oh, I wish I had it. I'm here to tell you right out, no you don't. No, you do not. I'm going to explain this as best I can, because I don't want to get heated over this, but it is very touchy. DID is not a fun disorder to have. No mental disorder of any kind is. Trust me, I've got a whole plethora, and none of them are fun. DID itself is not a fun disorder. I've heard so many people say, like, you must never get bored, you must never get lonely, because you have all those people out there. I do get bored. I do get lonely. Like, just having them there, they're there to help me with issues. They're not there to keep me entertained. I treat them like family, but at the same time, they're people who help me when I have problems. Their job is not to keep me entertained constantly. They're there to help issues. I don't know how to explain that any better. Like, I'm repeating myself, but they are not, they're not like your friend you call up on Facebook or whatever and say, like, hey, come hang out. And I do get lonely. It's kind of like talking to yourself. Because they're part of you. You know what I mean? Like, it's... And I do feel alone sometimes. And I'm guilty of those jokes as well. I'm not gonna act like I'm innocent. I'm like, oh yeah, I never get lonely. But it's just that. It was a joke. Because I do. I do feel very alone. But more often than that, people don't realize how exhausting this disorder is. Just switching one time puts me out completely from doing anything else. I'm lucky if I can do videos afterwards. I've had that happen on this channel where I switched, and the rest of my videos I can barely make a coherent sentence. I was that out of it. It is mentally draining to do this. It's mentally draining to live with DID. It is the most exhausting thing I've ever had to deal with. And I've been dealing with this long before I had it. Like, long before I knew I had it, is what I mean. But it's not fun. No mental disorder is fun. The romanticized versions that people think of, it's not that great. It's not that interesting. More often than not, it's an argument about which way to do something, which way to go. It's a constant discussion that is tiring. It's a feeling of you can't make up your own damn mind because there's a bunch of other minds talking to you. So no, this is not a fun disorder. Anxiety isn't fun. Depression is not fun. PTSD is not fun. Laying awake at night because you can't sleep because of this, because it gives you insomnia, because your mind won't shut off about things that have happened to you. That's not fun. Thinking to yourself and having flashbacks about things that have happened to you. What's fun about that to you? And what's worse than the romanticizing of it is the villainizing of it. I've seen so many games and movies that make people with DID look like monsters. Like, I mentioned this on Witch's Brew before, that Split is a terrible example of DID in media. It's awful. Because they made the guy a vicious monster that could shapeshift and all this crazy stuff. Like, that's not how DID works. And games like Danganronpa, there's a character in there that they straight up tell you has dissociative identity disorder. And what do they do with her? She has one alter, and it happens to be a serial killer. That's a bad example that doesn't happen. They are there to help you. They are not there to hurt other people. That's not their purpose. I get so frustrated when I go through certain aspects of, certain people, talking to certain people, they're like, oh, that must be so fun. No. I may seem like I'm having fun with this, like, with my others and everything, but sometimes it's exhausting. We have our moments where things are going good and everybody's happy. But at the end of the day, it's not fun. Don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean I don't like talking about them. It doesn't mean I don't like talking about my system. My inner world and everything, but it's not as fun as it sounds. I get excited talking about it because I can finally share it and feel like I'm not crazy. And I gotta say, like, I don't think it's very fun for them either. Sure, Lulu likes being out and talking to people. So, my others, like, some of the rest of them like being out and talking to people. That doesn't mean this is fun for me. This doesn't mean it's fun for anyone involved. This is hard. And a lot of people don't understand just how difficult it is dealing with this. I have to struggle to sleep at night most of the time. Like, it's hard for me. And it's not because of YouTube. Like, I could do this any time of the day. As long as, like, not everybody's here. Because it's hard to do stuff when you got a TV going on in the background. But, besides the point, it's hard, okay? Dealing with one disorder is hard. Dealing with a whole bunch, it's a living nightmare. It makes you feel, like, a lot of this stuff makes you feel like you're too out of whack to even be dealt with anybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. And I've been dealing with this since before I even knew I had this disorder. Before I even knew what it was. I've been dealing with this. It's not something like you'd see in a movie. It's not something you can turn into a romantic gesture because, like, oh, I love all parts of you. Like, yeah, you can love all parts of somebody, but it doesn't make it any easier. Like, the movies and media make it sound so easy. But it's not. It's really not. And I wish more people understood that this is rough. The exhaustion, the insomnia, the flashbacks, the nightmares. Like, there's a lot that goes on with this disorder that a lot of people won't talk about because it's so painful. You gotta understand, romanticizing it or villainizing it doesn't help anyone. It hurts people who have the disorder, and it makes things worse. I just wanted you to know that. So thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to do my usual shtick, at the end of the video, because I feel like that takes away from the message a little bit, because it's a little too, a little too lighthearted for something like this. So until the next time, goodbye.